This
object
conference will
construct
now be
ID.
recorded.
So we used the employee details and have generated the employee. Do you remember this? If not, don't worry. So if you want to generate a JSON file, right? So this is the SQL statement. Employee number, e-name, hire date, and whatever you want, you have to have the object construct to construct a particular um, JSON part of it.
So
So now
object
we
construct is a function.
yes, object construct is a function. I remember telling you talking about this, but I don't know. Did I miss that? Nobody ever heard about it.
No, I don't think so.
No,
It
sir.
came into a discussion.
Okay, that's fine. Then we are good. So at least I remember this. I wanted to tell you. So if you want to generate a JSON file, right? This is the key value or a tag and a value. Okay. E-name. If you look at this, right? So e-name, empno, e-name, hire date. Whatever the value you want, you have to put it in quotes. This is the tag title, and then this one from emp. Okay. Invalid argument function. This is not able to do that. So let me show you. So this is how you can generate a JSON. And if I want to unload the JSON as a file, right? How can I do that? If I want to unload it, right? How can I do that? Job, whatever you want to generate, right? You can generate it here. Okay. So if you want to unload this particular, if you want to load a JSON file, how would you do that?
By using the put
Copy.
command. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to unload it to a stage,
Unload.
Get command.
Yeah, we need to do
Copy to
the like
sorry.
vice versa.
Copy to stage.
Yeah, the
From
first
there,
thing what
get
to,
command.
yeah, copy into at the rate of my stage from, and then use this SQL statement. That's good enough for you to generate a JSON file, right? File underscore format is equal to my JSON format. Are we good?
Yeah.
List at the rate of my stage. So data JSON, right? Select $1 from see employee number. Oh, we have only employee number. We should have all the ones, right? Oh, employee. This is comma separated something. It has done in a different way. Normally, it should $1 should have all the entire thing. If you look at it, right? Let me get this into the local machine. Get at the rate of json.gz file underscore slash data, right? I'll unload it here, extract here. So this is the entire JSON that we are trying to get. But there is a comma, right? So it's not treating it as JSON. It is treating it as CSV. Any clue why? When I said $1, it's not getting me all the data.
So
It
each
was
field
showing,
separated by comma.
yeah. Then why is it showing me like that?
Because the stage file format is
Yeah, my JSON
comma separate.
format. See? Now it's passed it as a JSON and gave me the entire JSON file. So this is what I have generated from here, right? Copy into. So object construct is a function which helps to build a JSON. Now my target is right. I have to build a department details and then I have to construct the for each department something like this. Department number 10 and then all the values for the all the employees for the department number 10. Something like this, right? Can you select star from EMP where DEPTNO is equal to 10. I want all of them in one single. So that means whenever I generate a JSON, right, I have to generate a JSON in such a way department number 10, all the employees, department 20, all the employees, department 30, all the employees. That's how I want to generate a JSON. So for this, right, we have another thing called array aggregate. This is object construct, right? There is another thing called array construct. I'll say DEPTNO, comma, a array construct. So I'm trying to build an array out of this. It throws me an error, unknown function, array construct. I forgot the function. Array aggregator, sorry, not the construct. Array AGG aggregator. You have to remember this AGG. So we are trying to build an array out of this particular thing. It says department number is not a valid group by expression. I have asked for group department number and this one, right? I will what I'm gonna do. It says it's not. I'm not grouping by department. That is the reason it was not able to get that group by DEPT and see 10 and this one. Okay. For this is the department number 10. I have this many number of employees. 20 this many number of employees. Now I have to build another array out of this. So what I'm gonna do? I am gonna do an object construct again. Object construct can have arrays as well. Object construct, and what is this? DPT department, comma department number, and this the title for this one is EMP details, comma this one. I have to put bracket. Can you see now? I have department number 10 EMP details is an array and have elements in this. When you say array aggregator, it aggregates the entire thing as one, and you can have object construct which can have an array inside it. So we are trying to generate an array here, and the same way you can join many whatever the conditions in department details. If you want to get department details, you can join both of them and get the data. Are you able to follow me, guys? No?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Yes.
So array aggregator is the function that you have to use to generate an array out of JSON. Okay. So object, see, the first part is object construct. First, we built this entire employee details, and then we aggregated it so that by when we grouped by department number and gave department number 10, right? So it pulled all the data for it generated an array for department number 10. Okay. So you have to remember this array aggregator and object construct. Object construct on top of it again, you can build object construct and do all kinds of stuff. Select star from DEPT, right? There is no data in it. Okay. The same way we can join EMP comma DEPT, where EMP dot DEPT-NO is equal to DEPT dot DEPT-NO, and then you can have department number, the EMP dot department number, comma, okay, and then name DEPT name, comma, location, comma. If you do this right, it's going to get all the department details and the employee details based on this join condition. I don't have data in it, so I'm not able to generate any data. You can do like this. The array aggregator aggregates the entire employee details for this particular department group by something. Are you able to follow me?
Yes.
Yes, sir. But we need more practice,
Okay.
I think, sir. This one, yeah.
Yeah. You remember that if you want to generate an complex array like this, right, you can do like this as well. Okay. Whenever your exercise is based on generating an array out of a table, or JSON out of couple of tables. This is unloading the data. You can just use the unload and generate JSON, and then you can send it out. You can unload it. Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, we are good.
So now coming back to the AWS part of it, right? So now where is this AWS? So whenever you're trying to talk to AWS, right? I have shown you in the morning how to do. Let me show. AWS console, AWS management console, log back in. Okay, S3 buckets. So weekend batch, right? Objects can be public, and I have emp.csv. So the first part, whenever you're trying to do AWS, right, you have to have an access to AWS. So Snowflake is also a user, and you are also a user. Snowflake training is my username. I'm directly accessing AWS, and Snowflake is also implemented on AWS, and Snowflake the username whatever you logged in. Yes, modem is the username that I logged in, right? They would have created a default username based on this. 1 second. Okay. So this is the username, and using this username, they would have built connected to AWS, and they would have created an account on my behalf. Internally, that would have happened. So now think that there are two users on AWS. One is Snowflake Training, the other one is the sysadmin S modem. So because both of them are in Snowflake, right? They two can talk to each other, because if you think there is one database, there are two users, and if you want to query a table, if you have the privileges, then you can query the table. Whomever has the privileges can query the table, right? Are you able to follow me? Snowflake is also a user on AWS, and then my Snowflake training, that whatever I have logged in, so that is also a user in AWS. Both of them are users on AWS. One thing, Snowflake, whatever how they do, we don't know. It's all IP. They don't expose anything. But the other thing, whatever I logged in using Snowflake training, I'm using my email ID, and that I know I have uploaded a file. I know the S3 buckets, what I have written, everything is neat to me. But whenever you're trying to access the S3 buckets, right, you can access. There are three ways of doing it. One is, let me show you my screen. Okay. So option one, configure Snowflake storage integration. Option two, configuring AWS IAM role. Configuring AWS IAM user credentials. So the first one is IAM role. So IAM role means, so whenever you want to have access to a table in database, right, for a particular user, what will you do? You have to give privileges to that user. That means that particular role should have. If you take about Snowflake, right? So in the other databases, people give privilege to the user. In Snowflake, the privileges are given to the role, and the role in turn is given to the user. So Snowflake completely goes by role. So here the same scenario in AWS. So you have to create a role and then grant the privileges to the role so that the S3 bucket can be accessed by your AWS user, whatever the user that logged in. They have to have privileges on the S3 buckets. Are you able to follow me? The S modem user should have privileges to access the S3 bucket. Am I correct? You will grant the privileges through a role. That's what you're going to set up. Theoretically, functionally, you understood, right? When my Snowflake account needs to access an S3 bucket, then it should have a role, and the role gives permissions to the S3 bucket. Using that role, the S modem user can access the AWS S3 bucket, because both of them are on AWS only, right?
Yeah.
Is it too complex to understand? Do you want me to repeat one more time? Or do you want me to write and show you? Uh, I have created a account, a logged in. Okay, the Snowflake training is the username or user ARN. Account is something. So this is the user that by which I have logged in. So created a S3 bucket. Okay. S modem sysadmin logged in. S modem sysadmin logged in into Snowflake, which in turn accesses AWS. Am I correct? Are we clear on this? This is my
Yes, sir.
account. Yeah, this is my account that I have logged in, and this is the Snowflake training. Can you see, right? This is Snowflake account. So now both of them are in AWS only.
Shekhar, one thing,
So
Shekhar. In Snowflake, I have the account. The same
yeah.
user, today I have created the like AWS side also in the same username. Now I can say like AWS side, whatever the user I am using, the same user I am using in Snowflake side.
Mhm. It doesn't matter. Snowflake might append something to identify the user apart from the username. So you can have S modem, I can have S modem here, but still you will happily access, because we don't know internally how Snowflake creates an account for you and then how it accesses it. But it definitely accesses it.
Okay.
Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to access access S3 buckets from Snowflake. So what is the same that I have created? SF, WK, and weekend. That's what I think. Okay, where is this? SF weekend batch. This is the one. Okay. So this is the one that I have created S3 bucket name. I want to access this bucket from Snowflake. So because Snowflake is also a user on AWS, because on behalf of me, Snowflake would have created an account, because whenever through Snowflake thousands of users are accessing, because they have to have their own S3 buckets. Whenever you log in, they have to access it. So they maintain all kinds of details. Okay. So 1 second, guys. Okay. So if you look at, right, want an access to S3 account, so from Snowflake. So because Snowflake is a user on AWS, and this Snowflake training is also a user on AWS. So you can access it. There is a way that you can set it up. For that, you have to first create a role, which in turn has first create role, grant privileges on S3 bucket to role, grant role to Snowflake. Privileges, understood? So you have to create a role, and then you have to grant an S3 bucket role. What kind of privileges? Create object, upload an object, list an object, delete a file. There are all kinds of things that we have seen in the slide deck, right? You can do all kinds of stuff. Okay. So grant privileges on S3 bucket role. So how do we do this? So let me open. Okay. These are all the steps. Okay. First, you have to create an AWS IAM user. That means by default, whenever you log in, you created an account, right? So this is what it is. So let's go to, there is a module called IAM, Identity Access Management. Using the Identity Access Management only, you can IAM, IAM manage access to AWS resources. So this is the one which you can create privileges, you can create roles, you can do all kinds of stuff. Okay, so this is my dashboard. The sign in URL for IAM. This is the account resource number for me. Can copy this. This is my ARN, account resource number. Okay, this is the number 6622. This is my account ID kind of thing in AWS. Okay, and then when you come back here, right, so you see roles, you see policies, and normally what, so if I want to access a table in database, what kind of privilege I need to have?
Like
Read it.
select access is required.
Read and write.
Yeah, select access is required, right? The same way here, policy, you will set up a policy on S3 bucket, you will set up a policy. So this particular policy can be set it up on any other AWS resources. If you want to access Athena, if you want to access any other AWS applications like this, right? These are all the AWS applications. And if you want to set up access to any of the applications here, S3 is also one of them. You have to go and then create a policy on that application, and then you can assign that particular policy to that user, whomever is logging into, and he will be able to access it. And if the user is already there, then you need to create a role and you can assign the role to them. Are you able to follow me?
Yep.
So I am a user already in Snowflake, sorry, in AWS, and Snowflake and Snowflake training both are users now, right? If you already have an user, then you create a policy, attach the policy to the role, create a role, attach the policy to the role, and grant the role to the user. Now in our Snowflake training user, right, I'm going to create a policy. This is like uh, grant, select, and table to a role or user. Here we have a role. If you don't have a role, right, then you will be creating a role. This is the DB level. This is AWS. For your comparison, how things work, right? Grant, select, and table. Create a policy is nothing but you are trying to give the privileges what kind of thing that you want on a table. For example, if you take S3 buckets, then you want to have a put access, you want to have the get access, and you want to have all kinds of access, whatever you want, right? So attach the policy to role or grant, or you can see the same thing is also grant. Grant the role to the user. So the Snowflake, the database will be different where you will be directly granting it to the user or a role. And if you have granted to a role, in turn you have to grant the role to a user. Similarly, you create a policy and then you create a role, attach the policy to a role and grant the role to a user, that is Snowflake user, and then Snowflake will be able to access that. And when you are trying to do that, right, you have to create a stage that is called the external stage. So let's go and see what are all the steps that we need to do that. Okay, this is the first way, accessing the S3 buckets by a role. An AWS IAM user created for your Snowflake account is associated with an IAM role you configure via the trust relationship. So first thing, you have created S3 bucket. I've shown you how to create an S3 bucket. Go to your AWS console and then click for S3 or S3 here and then create a bucket. I showed you in the morning. You can go click on S3 and you can create an S3 bucket. Create bucket and make sure that the bucket is public. Okay. And what is the next step? So Snowflake requires the following permission on S3 bucket and folder to be able to access files. That means, so this is your AWS account. Create a S3 bucket. Where did you create your S3 bucket? In your Snowflake training account or AWS that you have logged in. Snowflake needs permissions to access. What kind of permissions? S3 get object, get object version, list object, put object, delete object version. So these are some of the privileges that needs the permissions Snowflake needs if you wants to load a file, unload a file, do the list command, do the get command, all kinds of stuff on that particular S3 bucket. So first you have to create a IAM policy. The following step-by-step instruction describe how to configure access permissions for Snowflake in your account. Management console so that you can use S3 bucket to load and unload data. Okay, first thing, log into AWS Management Console. We have already logged in. From the home dashboard, choose Identity and Access Management. So the home dashboard, IAM, or you can search for IAM here. Or if you look at in security part of it, right, you will have IAM. See, security, identity, and compliance. Okay, and then choose the account settings, expand the security token service regions, list find the AWS region. So this thing we don't know because I'm already logged in. Account settings is already there. I'm already here, so we don't need to go there. And then what else? So this for the first time when you are trying to create a policy for the first time, right? This is what you have to do. But now I have already created some policies, so it's not allowing. So for choose the identity and access management, choose account setting from the left hand navigation pane. The left hand navigation pane is the one. So I do account settings. Okay.
Shaker, I am in that path till now. I was created that S3 bucket.
Uh-huh. It's kind of little difficult if you're parallelly working and try to explain, right? First listen to me, and if you have any questions, we can at the end of the class I can make you present or show it to me. I can help you out with that.
Today afternoon I was created.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, very good. So you go to the account settings on your left hand pane, and then expand the security token service. Security token service. So global endpoint, regional endpoint, and if you look at this, right, APAC Mumbai. It will be deactive for the first time whenever you're trying to make sure, right? You have to activate this because you are going to use this particular region for your S3 buckets access and all this stuff. So for me everything is active by default. It will be active for you as well. Okay, and then choose policies from the left hand navigation pane. After activating this, right, come back to policies. Okay, there are tons of policies. I can create a policy and choose a service. Is S3. There are two ways of creating policies. You can use the GUI mode, or I have already given a JSON file. You have to copy this JSON file. It becomes easier for you. And go to your JSON and replace the entire thing here. So if you look at here, right? So this is what I'm going to type. Effect allow. what is the action that I'm going to allow? S3 put object, get object version, delete object version, delete object revision. And the resource is nothing but your S3 bucket. If you look at what is the S3 bucket that I have here, this is the S3 bucket, right? So you go and then, so this means if you give slash star means from the root folder, you will have the entire access given to you from the S3 bucket. Are you able to follow me?
Yeah,
No,
Shekhar.
this is the resource. This is the S3 bucket, and the name of the bucket that you have created is here, the root, and the bucket name slash star means you are giving access to all this stuff, and then allow. What are the other actions? List bucket, resource the same, and conditions like star. That means whenever you're trying to list, that means whenever you are trying to view the details, right? Then you are telling them for all, if you prefix with CSV, right? Star.csv, then you are giving permissions only to view CSV files to the user. If you say star, that means you are giving access to everybody. And these things all will be done by your AWS admin, not you. You need not to worry about that. But you want to learn how things work behind the curtain. So here I'm creating a role. First, I'm creating a policy, and the policy, right? I'm giving the S3 bucket the permissions to put, delete, and then the permissions to list the object. Are you able to follow me? I'll go there in this JSON. I change the folder name to whatever folder name, and then if you want to have any tags, you can have tags on it. Don't worry about all the tags part of it. No, next, review and name of the policy. S3 bucket access, right? S3 access. SF weekend batch. So SF weekend batch S3 access. And then you can go and then see list read write multiple S3 prefix all. This is what it is. Okay. And then create the policy. So you see this, right? The policy that you have created. And if you want to edit the policy, you can edit the policy, and then you can see these are all the actions. And there are some actions it doesn't. One second. S3 list bucket, SF weekend batch, S3 5 actions, get object, delete object, put object, and all this stuff. Okay, this is the policy that you have created. SF weekend batch, S3 access. Okay. So this policy we need to attach it to a role, and we have to grant that role to the Snowflake user. So that is the end goal for us. The first thing, we have created a policy, we have created, given the permissions. So this policy, if we attach this policy to any role, the role automatically gets the permissions to access this policy, right? So let's go back to this particular thing. Now we have created, click the JSON tab, add a policy document. You have to change the, okay, don't copy the dotted line. People started copying this line also, it doesn't work. It has to be plain JSON. And Okay, so people have confusion on this, so I have done that. Okay, we have created the policy. Now I'm going to create a role. So if you want to create the role, right, go back to IAM. Wherever you see policy on top of it, you will see roles. So I am trying to create a role. So select type of trusted entity. Is it AWS service, EC2, Lambda, others? Who this role, whenever trying to create, is this role trying to access an application or access a service, or is another AWS account that trying to create a role for? We are trying to create role for AWS account, right? The Snowflake account is already ready. We are trying to create for it. And account ID. Do we know the account ID for the Snowflake? No, we don't know. So for that, what Snowflake suggests is, right, give a dummy account ID or whatever the AWS account that you have used. This is the one. Whenever you logged in, right? Whenever you logged into the IAM, let me show you. IAM. I copied that ARN, right? The account ID that I have shown. This is my account ID. So what Snowflake suggested, you have to enter a dummy account ID and then later change the Snowflake account ID. I'll tell you how that can be changed. But first, you have to enter a dummy account ID. But the dummy account ID, a Snowflake validates it. So if you just give this particular account ID, right, then this is a valid account ID. But it does not check whether you are trying to create a role for you or somebody else. It just validates only is it a valid account ID or not. So whenever you copy it, you will get this particular thing. So 6629, right? I'm going to roles again, create role, and it's an AWS account, and the account ID is the same thing that I copied here, right? So this is, you have to copy this account ID, ARN. So if you go here, right, click create role, select another AWS account as the trusted entity type. In the account ID field, enter your own AWS account ID. Later, you will modify the trusted relationship and grant the access to Snowflake. So an external ID is also required whenever you're trying to do it, right? This is your and then require an external ID. You click on this, and so whenever you create an external ID, right? When you're trying to access to another account, normally they prefer to have an external ID, much more security part of it. So whenever Snowflake tries to access, right, it uses both the AWS account ID as well as the external ID. But for now, so normally we have to give the account ID of the Snowflake account and the external ID of the Snowflake account. But we don't know them yet. First, we create a role with dummy account ID and dummy external ID 0000. Okay, just follow me, and then we'll come back and revisit the whole thing. So now the moment you create, right, it's asking filter policies. What was the policy that we have created? Weekend, right? S3 access. You select this policy. That means you are attaching this policy. This policy has the permissions on the S3 bucket. What can be seen, what can be inserted, what can be deleted. We are now attaching this policy to this role. We don't need to have any key or anything. And what is the role name? What was the policy that we have? S3 role. We can batch S3 role. So now I am saying role description, whatever you have, create role. See, this is the role that you have created, and this is the policy that you have created. Policy is this one, relationships. This is the one that you are trying to do, edit trust relationship. So this is what it is. So we have given a dummy account ID and dummy external ID. So this is the one, the relationship means this is the one that identifies which particular account is trying to access this particular role if you grant it. Okay. So I'm going back to this one. External ID is required to grant access to the AWS resources to S3. Select the required external ID option. Enter a dummy ID such as 00. Later you will modify that. Click the next button. We have created the role now. Okay. And save the role ARN. So what is the role ARN here? You go back, right? This is the role and this is the role ARN. You copy this role ARN. Okay. This is the account ARN and this is the role ARN. ARN means account resource navigator. The same thing, right? I have dummy. And the role is SFWeekend batch S3 role. Okay. Now let's go back. Where is my file? Create an external stage. How do you create an internal stage?
Create or replace stage name. Then give the file.
The same way, you will be creating an external stage that references the AWS role that you have created. So this is the statement. Use the database schema, whatever, create stage, my S3 stage, URL, your bucket URL. And credentials, there is no credentials for you. You can ignore that and there is no encryption for it. Okay, you can just say encryption AWS SSE keys. This is the standard way of doing this. You don't need to do that. If you want, just create using this one. That should be good enough. Okay, let's go and create a stage. Create or replace stage my S3 stage. Okay, and what is that? URL and URL is my S3 URL, right? So I have to change this URL. So what is the name of my URL? I'll go to services S3 and then weekend batch and properties. You can copy this bucket air and copy it. And I think this is the one that we are trying to copy. That is the resource number. Okay. No, no, S3 colon S of weekend batch. You don't need to give all this stuff. Just give this one. So let's come back. There is a URL that can be copied very much easily. I don't remember where it is. Learn more properties. Permissions, metrics management. This is the life cycle I was talking. Create life cycle rules. We talked in the morning, right? How do you set up and storage class moving into a different life cycles? You can set it up here. And the access points is this is the one that says create access points means which particular IP address can access this. So you can set up security on top of this. So these are the things, but I think that should be good enough. So I'm telling. So my stage create. Describe stage my S3 stage. Can you see this? Describe stage my S3 stage. And when you describe it, it has all the properties. Can you see this particular, right? The stage location and stage, there is no key ID, username, password that you have used. And then stage format. You have, one second guys, I missed another step. Yeah, sorry, I have to give the role. So the role ARN, right? If you don't give the role ARN, it doesn't know how to use that particular S3 bucket. So I have to go and give, what the heck is this? One, and what is my role that I have copied here? This is the role. Okay. URL S3 bucket, credentials, AWS role, and I'm using this role to create a stage. And then whenever I describe this, right, you will see stage AWS role. This is the role that I have used. Okay, weekend batch. And AWS external ID. Now I got the external ID of the Snowflake account, Snowflake IAM user. This is the account ID of Snowflake for my account. S modem, whatever I logged in, right? This is my AWS Snowflake account. So we have to go and then change these things. So, when we created for the first time, right? What did we do? We created a dummy account. We used a dummy account, and then we created dummy external ID, and then we created the role there, and we associated that role to a stage, telling that this is the role ARN. And whenever you created a stage, right, and the Snowflake tries to access through the external stage. And now when we describe this, right, we have the original external ID and the IAM user. Okay, what you have to do, go back to your AWS and then go to your IAM and then roles. So we can batch, right? So you have trust relationship. You have to go and then edit this particular thing. Edit trust relationship. And what is the AWS account for which you want to access this? You come here, AWS IAM user ID. You copy the entire thing. And then, okay. And then come back Snowflake external ID. Copy this external ID. Don't copy extra spaces. You have to be very careful in doing this. And then the external ID, you're going to replace that. So this is the Snowflake account, and this is Snowflake external ID. Update trust policy. Okay. And then you come back here. So if you want to see the contents of a stage, how do we see the contents of a stage? How do we see the contents of a stage?
And the
By
content stage name.
Sorry?
Select stage from stage name. Select
No. I want to see what are all inside the
list,
stage.
list.
List at the red external stage.
My stage. Internal, everything is the same. Can we see this emp.csv now? Whatever is there when we loaded that particular thing is here. Are we able to see this? This is what we have in, guys, hold on 1 second, please. So this is as good as internal stage. Okay. And if I want to load this data into a table, how can I load the data? How do we load the data into a table
yeah,
from stage?
by using put
Cop,
command.
copy
Sir,
into.
by?
Copy into.
Okay, yeah, by using copy.
From stage name.
emp.csv. File underscore format. My
My CS.
CSV format. 15 rows inserted. Right. Once you create an external stage, that's it. But here, when you create an external stage, we are trying to create a bridge. We are not having the file originally loaded because both of them are in the cloud, right? You don't need to load, push the file. The file is already there in the cloud. We are just trying to access the cloud. That's it. Are you able to follow me, guys?
Shekhar, can you repeat this point?
So whenever you have whenever you have a file on your on premise, you have to push the file into the cloud. Here, are we pushing the file into the cloud? No, the file is already existing in the cloud. S3 buckets is in the cloud, your Snowflake is also in the cloud. We are trying to create a bridge. We are not pushing the file anywhere. We are just trying to read the file from the different cloud account. Are you able to follow me, guys?
Yeah, Shekhar, it's a kind of external file in the HDFS location.
Yes, something similar, right? You have a file in the location, you are accessing both of them in the cloud. You don't need to push the file. File is already there. You have already uploaded. So you're trying to access. This is a bridge. External stage is a bridge between the other account and Snowflake account. Are you able to follow me?
Okay.
So let's go back, revisit the entire steps that we have done for the role based.
Shekhar sir, then why do we need copy command in that case if it is already in the S3 bucket?
No, S3 bucket is your account, right? Snowflake training is the account that I have in S3 bucket. But how do I get into Snowflake?
Okay, so for copy command basically moves from stage to table like in the Snowflake. But Snowflake is also there residing in the uh, S3 bucket, right? In other words.
That is true, but that S3 bucket and the Snowflake S3 buckets are different. Snowflake doesn't open the S3 buckets to anybody. Whatever the data that you load, it is private to Snowflake. You cannot create a table on your S3 buckets. There is another thing that we can do, but that's an external table that has nothing to do. So whenever you insert some data into Snowflake, right, Snowflake will have its own S3 buckets for each table and it loads data. And if you have S3 files or anything in your account, and if you want to bring them to Snowflake for your analysis, analytical purposes, you can bring it by using the copy command and load it into a table, and from there you can do your analysis.
Okay.
Are we clear? Are we clear, guys?
Yeah.
So let's go back and then revisit the whole thing what we have done before. Okay. So first thing what we have done, right? We have created a S3 bucket and we have uploaded a file. And then now we created a policy in the S3 bucket. Where did we create the policy? We have to go to the Snowflake, AWS IAM module. IAM module is the one where you can create roles, you can create users, you can create policies and everything. Okay, you have created a policy in. So what is that policy for? That policy is for accessing the S3 bucket that you are giving. That means you are trying to give privileges on the S3 bucket. That what you have done. So what are the privileges? Get, put, delete, list. So if you don't give the list option, right, then you cannot query the list here. When we say list, right, this doesn't work. In the policy we have given the list part of it. If you go and look at it, right, if you look at this, allow a list bucket. List bucket means whenever you run your list command on Snowflake, if you haven't given this particular action like star dot star or something, it doesn't show you anything at all. You are not giving the privileges, you are not giving the security privileges for doing that. Understood? So and then put object, get object. Put object means you can put something. So how can I put something into Snowflake, sorry, into my S3 bucket?
Uploading the
Copy, yeah, unloading. Copy into at the rate of my S3 stage, okay, slash customer from SF100, right? Customer. His name is equal. Copy it and limit 100. Okay. Select star from limit 100 file underscore format is equal to my CSV format. Header equal to true. So it has uploaded it. Let me go to my IAM. So now I have to go to my S3 buckets. Weekend batch, right? Can you see customer 00csv.gz? Where did we push this file from our Snowflake into? Once you create a bridge, right? You can do whatever. You can unload it, load it. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can read the files, or if you want to read the file, select $1, comma $2 from at the rate of my stage slash sorry my S3 stage, right? Let's see, whatever you do on internal stage, you can do all of them on the external stage as well. Just you want to bridge the relation between those two things. Understood? So for this, what we have done first, we created a policy, we granted permissions. So how we created a policy? In the policy, we granted permissions to the S3 bucket that we have created, and then we have created a role, and then we attached this policy to the role, and then what we created a stage. When we created a stage, we use that role for creation of the stage. Create stage, my S3 stage, credentials, AWS role. That means create the stage using the role credentials, and then each gave us the AWS external ID and then a Snowflake IAM user. We use this while we are trying to create a role, right? We didn't know the Snowflake IAM user and Snowflake external ID. So for that, what we have done, we have created a dummy account ID, and then later after creating the stage, we got the details, and then we went back to AWS role and clicked on the edit trust relationship, and then in the relation, we just made sure that this particular S3 buckets can be accessed by this particular role. We have entered the IAM user and the external ID. Are we clear, guys? Okay.
Shekhar sir, as a part of as a Snowflake developer or as part of development team, are we getting only the S3 bucket name and their credentials, right?
Yes, you have to create an account, or whenever you join a company, right? What they do, right? They'll ask you to create an AWS account as well. You can use that so that you can access the S3 buckets and see, you can upload the files, delete the files, you can programmatically load the files into AWS. So, and then probably there might be another team who does the data ingestion to S3 buckets, and you have to read from that and load it into a table. How do we read from S3 buckets?
With the URL, and I mean, yeah, with the bucket name and
Mhm.
the role assigned to it. I mean, with the
They would have
specific
already done all.
credentials.
Yes. You create a stage, and then using the role ARN, the AWS guys will give you the role to access a particular S3 bucket. So now we are doing the action of an AWS admin as well. They will be creating the S3 buckets. We have created the S3 bucket. We have given the we have created a policy on the S3 bucket. We have attached to it a role. Whatever the admin guys do, right? We are doing that so that we get familiarity with the environment, what they do inside as well, for our testing
Okay.
purpose.
Okay.
Okay. Bhaskar, can you hear me? I just saw your message. Okay.
Yeah, Shekhar, that was some time back. Now I am
Okay.
able to hear.
Cool. So guys, do you have any questions? Let's move on to the next one. First one, IAM role. We have seen that. The next one is user credentials. That means Snowflake uses another user's credentials to log in. Whenever you create a stage, right? The stage uses user credentials and creates a stage so that we can access that particular S3 buckets. Are we clear? So when we created a role which has access to S3 buckets, and whenever we created a stage, we told to Snowflake use this role authentication and then do it. And then using the role authentication, it has, so there is no username password, and if you have any username password also you can set it up, or if you have any authentication. If you look at this, right, encryption, SSC keys, and you can give pass the key ID as well. Whenever you pass the key ID, right, then it takes. So whenever you read the select $1, $2, then it needs the decryption, right? It uses the key and then decrypts the data and reads the data. Whenever you load the data, it decrypts and loads the data into a table, whichever table that you are trying to load, and then Snowflake does another encryption. And if that particular folder is encrypted, and whenever you're unloading it, right, so whenever you create a stage, you would have given the encryption key, right, it encrypts the same thing and puts it into the S3 bucket. Are you able to follow me, guys? No? Are you okay?
Little difficulty in understanding, Shekhar, sir, to be frank, because it's totally new for me. I don't know how about other folks.
It's
Yeah.
totally new for everybody. If you're not with AWS, Santosh, you don't worry about it. I'm just trying to make sure that you understand clearly. So now you guys repeat with me whatever you understood. What was the first thing that we have done? So my goal is to access a file in the S3 buckets, or there is no file. I have to create a file. I have to load the file into S3 bucket and access from Snowflake. That is my goal. What was the first step that we have done? Talk to me, guys. Talk to me, please,
Yeah,
so that you will get
Shekhar.
First,
you will get
Create
it.
an S3 bucket
Yes, we have created an S3 bucket. How did we create an S3 bucket?
by in AWS by logging into AWS by creating an account in AWS.
Create an AWS account.
To the
If
S3
you
service.
don't have it, or login to AWS account, and then two, go to
S3
S3
service.
module, service or module service,
Yes.
and then what is the third one? What we have done?
We need to
Create a
create a
S3 bucket. S3 bucket, lowercase, okay, and should be unique across
and,
Hmm.
entire globe.
and upload any of the file.
Yeah, uploaded env.csv file. So until here we are good, right? You guys understand?
Yeah, we are
Yeah.
continuing.
Okay. And then I want to access this bucket from Snowflake. So for that, what we have done?
We need to create the policies for the bucket.
policy.
Yeah, create policy, privileges on my S3 bucket. Okay. What kind of policy? Put get
Like list.
list delete, version deleted, all this stuff. These are all the privileges kind of thing, right? So, and then we have given the folder name, folder, root folder, or the bucket name, and we did not restrict to any files. We have given it to all the files. We did star when you looked at it. So we did not give anything. We just gave everything so that, so this is the policy, right? Prefix star. This is the resource and all this stuff. Okay. And then after this, what did we do?
Created a role.
Role on that policy.
First, we created a role, and then we attach a policy to the role. And this role can have n number of policies, not only one. It can have S3 bucket policy, it can have EC node policy, it can have whatever the application that you can have, right? You can have all the policies attached to your role, and if you assign it to a user, the user will be able to access the applications and all this stuff. Are you able to follow me, guys? But here
Yep.
now we have attached a particular policy to the role. And what did we do while creating a role? What did we do? Because we don't know, so when you are trying to create a role, the role that we are trying to create is, right, like other AWS entity. Where is this roles, right? Create role, another AWS account, another AWS account. Which is the another AWS account here?
Snowflake.
Yeah, Snowflake. So to create the role, right, what do we know? We need first, we need account ID of the AWS account for which you are granting the role. Do we have that in first place?
No.
As we don't have the Snowflake account details, we used dummy account, and the dummy account is nothing but my account, AWS account that I logged in, and external ID is 000 that I have already given. So are we good so far? Because we don't know unless until you create a stage, right? You won't get to know what is the Snowflake account ID and the external ID. So for that, when we created the role, we created a dummy account ID. Because we don't know that particular account ID, we used a dummy account and external ID, and we created. And after that, what did we do? Attach the policy to the role. Okay. And then what did we do? Create stage, external stage, using the role that created. Step 3, we use the role and created a stage, and after that describe stage, external stage, which in turn gives Snowflake, which shows copy the Snowflake, what is that, Snowflake EIM user and Snowflake external AWS external ID from the stage. Okay, and it go to AWS role, click on trust relationships tab, click on edit relationships, right. Update the dummy account. Snowflake IAM user and external ID with AWS list at the rate of my stage S3 stage. Are we clear now? Are we good, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, Shekhar.
Yes.
I'll give you both these documents to you, and then you can do it. So similarly, we have another thing you can use create the stage by using a user. So let's go and check this here. This is much more easier user. Okay. Similarly, you go to IAM, create a S3 bucket, and then IAM policy, the same policy that you have done for that one, right? Here we are going to assign the policy to user. It means we have to create a user first, and then we, instead of assigning the policy to a role, right, we'll be assigning the policy to a user. Something like in database, you can grant select to a role, you can then select to a user. Here also we can do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to create an IAM user. IAM users. So add user, username SF weekend user. Okay, programmatic access AWS. If you go look at it, right. So on add user page, enter a new username and then select programmatic access as the access type and then click next. That means you are programmatically going to access this programmatic access. Okay, next permissions. Okay, and then attach existing policies directly. So you don't need to go to groups and all these copy permissions from existing users. Attach an existing policy. What is the policy? We can the one that we have created on S3 buckets, right? Next tag. Username, program week as a weekend user, and then you have to create the user. And you can download this CSV and you can see the secret access key. This is important. Once you forget this key, right? If you go look at it, right? You can copy the access key ID in secret access key by clicking on show, or click on download credentials. Once you lose these credentials, then you have to go and then reset the access. You have to go and then change the password for the user. Okay, the same way I have downloaded it. Let me show in folder. This is the user credentials and edit with notepad. SF weekend user, access key is this one, and then secret access key is this one. And there is a console login link as well. Until here, this is the secret access key. Okay, so let's go back and see what we have to do here. Use schema and you have to create a stage. Here you are trying to use credentials, key ID and secret access key. Previously we have used role ARN. Here we are trying to use, I'm gonna go there to my S3 bucket. Stage my S3 stage by user. What is the bucket name? Weekend batch. Okay, and what is the access key ID? Username, password, access key. There is no password, this is the access key. And then secret access key. Where is the secret access key? This is the secret access key. Okay, and then I'm gonna create. So I have created my stage list at the rate of my S3 stage by user. So it should be at the rate of, right? See, I have these two files. Now I'm able to use. So I have created a user. I have assigned a user policy to that user directly, and then I'm able to use create a stage, and I can access the S3 buckets. Are you able to follow me, guys? So this is much more easier. You create policy and create a user, attach the policy to the user, and then we are good. You just go ahead and then download the access key ID, secret access key ID, keep it handy, and then it should be good. Okay, this is pretty much about it. Okay, there is another one, storage integration, and the storage integration is much more powerful using the storage integration. So these two things, right, by role and then by user, only you can read from AWS. The storage integration part, right, you can connect to the AWS account using storage integration, or using the storage integration we can connect to Azure Blobs and the Google storage as well. So storage integration is the third method that we are talking about, right, that we're going to talk about. That is, you have to use that when you are trying to talk to Azure Blobs from AWS. That means you are trying to get data from Azure blobs into AWS or GCP into AWS. Then you have to create the stage using storage integration. Okay. So I think is it good enough for you now, or do you have enough time so that I can finish the storage integration as well, or do you want to see that in the next class?
I think too much to digest, sir. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, too much to
Yeah, it
digest.
is too much. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
This is too much for you now. Once you do this right, that will become pretty much simple. Don't worry about it. It's not too complex. You just follow the SQL statement that whatever I've done given, right? That should be good enough for you.
Okay.
The text file that I'm going to share you, it should be good enough. So let's have the other storage integration in the next class, and then we'll look into the other topics. Okay.
Sure, Shekhar sir. Meantime, we'll have a more detailed on work on this so that if we have any
Uh,
questions, definitely we'll reach out to you.
Sure, definitely. And I can set up a workshop on Wednesday or so. If you guys are interested, then probably you have to do the workshop. That becomes much more easy. Let's have a workshop on Wednesday. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Okay, sure, sir.
Sir, I have one generic query, sir. Like
Sure.
among these three methods, like which one will be used by large clients, like banking clients?
So normally role based will be used if both of the accounts are in AWS. Our storage integration, I don't know, storage integration is much more powerful. Snowflake suggests to use storage integration, but if both of them are AWS, right, role or storage integration, either of them, it depends upon the admin or the architect who is trying to do that.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, guys. Then if you have any questions, yeah. So I've shown you the JSON, right? Plain and simple. And then if you have any questions, we can talk now or we can wind off. Any questions for me, guys?
No, from my end, sir. So these files will be shared to us, or
Yes,
it'll...
yes. I'm gonna share everything to you guys. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Are there any old batch students in this one? So that I'm not sure whether if you want these files as well, I can share it to you. No, right?
I'm there, sir. I'm Uday.
Oh, there, yeah, yeah. Sorry, sorry. I forgot you were there. Yeah. So you are there. No problem. Yeah, fine. So I'm gonna share the in this particular weekend batch WhatsApp group, and then
Uh,
we can do it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Shekhar sir, regarding the profile, let me know,
Mhm.
sir, if we have any uh, resembled resume or something. So I just wanted to start with it so that I will get to know more realistic questions gonna arise while in the interviews. So
Okay. So I normally don't share any sample resumes. So based on the
yeah,
resume that you have, I'll just
yes,
give
sir.
it to
Actually,
you.
I have shared with you, sir. Yeah, I have
Oh,
shared
yeah.
with you, actually.
Yeah. I'll look into it and then I'll get back to you on this.
Sh- Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Okay then. Okay then, guys. So catch up next week. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sir, if someone goes to an interview, if any questions asked by the interviewer, it's
Mm-hmm.
better to share that questions in this forum. That will really help others also, sir.
Yeah,
If some
if
other
you,
person,
yeah, that is true. If you join on the Wednesday and then start social networking with other guys, you don't
yeah,
need to tell this. Automatically, people will post in the group. So let's have
okay,
the session on Wednesday, and then slowly we'll start interacting with each other, and then you will get to know. Okay.
okay, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right,
Uh, sh-
guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. See you next week. Okay.